Hey everyone, Chip Bachman here. Going to teach you today how to assemble a short dough or a basic sugar cookie recipe for pies. So I say I have my mixer out here. So inside the mixing bowl I have butter and powdered sugar, so 5 ounces of butter and a half cup or 3.5 ounces of powdered sugar. I have my 8.5 ounces of pastry flour here. And then of course right here I have my 1 egg, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, and then about a tablespoon of milk or cream. So what we're gonna do is put this on the mixer now. And it's a traditional mixing method like you would use for a creaming method for a cookie. Now you can actually use you can do this by hand if you want, but I just think a mixer works a little faster. So we're just gonna let that go around until it's kind of incorporated. Now, one of the key things that you want to do with this dough, just like a lot of doughs where you want an emulsion, is to make sure your butter and your eggs are at room temperature. Now, of course, obviously that goes against safety and sanitation, but when we're cooking at home, we want to make sure that our butter is soft and our egg is at room temperature, and it just makes a lot better of an emulsion. So we're just gonna get that guy a little stirred here. We'll scrape him a little. Now sometimes in these mixers, a tiny batch like this takes a while to make, but I just wanted to do it to try and get it done fast so you can see it. We're just going to let that mix around until it's all incorporated. We can go ahead and add our salt in there. First, we're going to crack our egg on something flat, right? And then that's pretty well mixed in, so we're going to go ahead and add our egg. We're gonna let that come together here. You want to make sure that it's mixed together correctly. You want a nice emulsion. You don't want little blobs of butter floating around in the egg mixture. So I'm gonna stop that. I'm just gonna scrape them. Don't forget your paddle if you're going to be using one of these at home. Now obviously, like I said, you can do this by hand. You just do it in a bowl with a whisk. You definitely want to make sure that all your ingredients are at room temperature. Otherwise, it might be a little difficult stirring cold butter right out of the fridge. So we're going to let that go. We should be pretty close here. You can see we're almost coming together here. And then basically what we're gonna do once this comes together is we're gonna add our flour, and we're just gonna mix it until it's just combined. Because just like a pie dough, you don't wanna overmix it and have develop an excess amount of gluten, because then your dough is just gonna be tough. And it's not gonna be the consistency that you want. Probably gonna scrape that one more time, and then we should be good to go. Like I said, this is just a short dough or a sugar cookie dough. So this is a dough that's cookie dough that you actually roll out and cut shapes out of. But it molds very well, so it's perfect for using for a pie crust. All right, we are pretty close here. You can see the butter is starting to come together. And it should look nice and smooth like frosting. So it's still a little lumpy, we're pretty close. And then once it comes together, like I said, we'll add our flour. And then we'll add our heavy cream in there. And then we're just gonna mix it until it's just combined, and then we'll take it out and shape it just like we would pie dough. And then, of course, it needs to be refrigerated until you're ready to roll it out. Now this dough is pretty soft, so usually what I do is roll this out between a couple sheets of parchment. And then I'll demonstrate that in another video. All right, so you can see now that everything's nice and mixed together, okay? Nice and smooth. So then we're gonna go ahead and add our flour. And then we're just gonna let this mix on speed 1 till it just slowly comes together. We'll add our milk. Basically, you just want to mix it until all the flour is kind of absorbed. So it shouldn't take very long. And then once you see a dough form, which is about right there, so now you can see it, that's it, it's ready. So we're gonna take this off. We'll move this guy out of the way here. And then you can use a spatula, but I like to use this little dough scraper. Works pretty well. So you can see this dough is very, very soft. So we're just gonna scrape them off here. And then we'll put a little flour down. And then get it into a nice shape so we can put it in the fridge. So I just put a tiny little bit of flour down there. And then we're basically just gonna dump our dough out there. So like I said, this is a pretty soft dough. And you definitely want to refrigerate this before you want to try and work with it, because it'll be virtually impossible if it's this soft. So there we go, there's our dough. Now what I like to do is put just a little bit on there on my hands here, and then you can kind of shape it. Just like I said with the pie dough, you want it kind of flat, so you don't have to roll that out as much. Okay, and then you have it there. Grab our plastic wrap here. Very carefully gonna throw him in there. And then voila, there is your short pastry dough.